All right, welcome to First and Filoni. This is our what is this, week 12 podcast here. Um, Joined as always by my co-host here, Mr. Andrew Cooper. Andrew, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going. How about you, bro?
Well, it's midterm week for us here, so it's a little busy, but not only that, we've had a lot of stuff pop off this week. Um, we did our hot seat coaches section last week, and man, did we call it. You called Jimbo Fisher, I called Zach Arnett. So we'll start off here with Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher got fired after just signing an extension, I believe. He does get a 75 million dollar payout. Do you think he deserved it? Was it a right firing? What are your thoughts on the Jimbo situation?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's like we always talk about, we're just in a new era of college football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, A&M wants to win. They want to compete for a championship. I mean, I get it, but who are you going to bring in that's big name? You know what I mean?
So
I
I
know
have a
there's some
theory
names
on that.
circling around, but
So before the game or at halftime, they donor donated $168 million. I think that has something to do with it. That's Texas oil money, baby.
yeah, I mean, that's just. I mean, they want to win. I mean, I can't say they don't blame him. I mean, he's been there, what, 5 years, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah,
I think it would have been different, if he's
it's
competing.
almost 10 years.
He's been there that long.
I think so. Let me check. I'll let you finish your thought. Go ahead.
I mean, when you got donors donating that kind of money, man, I mean, they want to win. They don't want no bull crap. So
Oh, six
I don't know.
seasons.
I mean, I knew it was there, but I mean, really and truly, this day and time in the college football world, especially when you're making the money that you're making and you're in your 6th year and you're not competing for SEC championships, I mean, it's time for you to really take a step back. And uh, to me, I thought it was a great fire.
Yeah, I did too. He had the same record as Kevin Sumlin, and I thought he was an unfair firing. So I think Texas A&M, in my opinion, is a top
Yeah, but
15 program.
I think if you look at the stats, I want to say Sumlin won more
He did.
what top 20 games than Jimbo did his 6 years there.
Well, his record as well was like 2 games better. Like at the same time that Sumlin got fired, his record, Sumlin's record was better. So like Jimbo, in how much do you think Jimbo's um career rests on his daddy's name? Because he's only won one national championship, and that was solely because of Jameis.
He's lucky he even played a year because he got caught stealing the crab legs.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, how much do you think do we hold him on a higher regard because of uh his dad?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a lot.
So I just a thought there, but like I was saying before, I think
Who's
I
who
agree
did
with you.
who did his dad who's his dad coach for?
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Hold on, let me see.
I think you're thinking of Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, I might be. That's a slip up. Okay. Yeah, I think I am.
'Cause he was Bobby Bowden's predecessor for a long
Predecessor.
time.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe what so regardless, predecessor, like I how much do you think that relies on Bobby Bowden and all of his success at Florida State?
I mean, really and truly, man, if you look at it, I think it weighs heavily because you're at back then. I mean, Florida State was prime time. I mean, they
Yeah.
they
Oh, they
were
were
they were
they were
playing,
amazing for 20 years.
yeah. And you grew up and coached in that system with one of the greatest coaches of all time, especially in the ACC. And now your reputation. It's also starting to go to me too. Is back then where the kids going to FSU because of Bobby Bowden, and you know what I mean. I don't know. A lot weighs in on it to me.
Yeah. So my next question is like, who do you think is going to replace him? Like, I honestly think Texas A&M with the money they have, the recruits that they're beginning in, with the NIL world, that's a top 15 program, top 10 to 15, 10 to 20 program. Who do you think comes in? Because it's not going to be another small name if they're going to go out and do this, right? I think it's going to be a big name. I think it's going to be a name that we might not think of. So like names that have been kind of thrown around is Dan Lanning, Mike Elko, Dabo has been thrown around in there with all the troubles at Clemson. I could see that. So who do you think is going to land there, and who would you like to see there?
All right. So I'm going to read you off a list that I came up with. I had JMU's coach, but the only thing with that is I
He's
think that's a
old,
long shot because he's not that old.
62.
No, he's not.
I mean, go ahead, finish your thought. I'll look it up.
So I thought about JMU's coach, but to me, man, if I'm JMU's coach, I'm staying where I am with what I've done in the past couple of years of JMU and just riding the high until I built my. I won a little bit in the college
Yeah.
football this day and time. I think I would stay. Dan Lanning, of course, Elko. Elko was a defensive coordinator there for what until 2 years ago.
Yep.
So these are two like out
So
of the box names that I really thought about here. Urban Meyer
yeah,
and Gary
yeah,
Patterson.
really. Even with his
Yeah,
horrible year. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking Sonny Dykes.
that's Sonny
Okay.
Dykes. But I could see Gary Patterson lead, I mean, I know he's older. I think he's like 65, 66, but
Yeah.
he coached at TCU for 17, 18 years, and they were always consistent. I mean, he's an assistant now for Texas. He knows what it's like to recruit in Texas, and he's been around some good programs and played against some really good, beat some good ones. So I mean, I could see him, but to me, I think the if I had to pick one, I would have to go with Dan Lanning. He's
Yeah.
proven that he can win. He's proven that he can win. He was a defensive coordinator already before in the SEC, so he knows what kind of defense he's got to have in the SEC. I mean, that would be my pick, but can you get him away from Oregon is the thing.
So you made a good point earlier when I suggested that name to you via text because you said Elko and um uh Elko and Lanning as a possibility, but then you said that like they're not going anywhere. They like the areas, which I agree with. I was the one who suggested them. Like I'm fully in agreement with you on both of those. Um, I think they can do it. Like Oregon's a good, nice, cushy job, but they're not the money that A&M has. They're not the recruiting base that A&M has, and the only way Oregon keeps them is Nike throws in the money at them. Because I think Lanning's perfect for him. You even mentioned when we were talking earlier, the guy from Washington. Um, can't think of his name off the top of my head. But those would be great coaches as well. So you're thinking Dane Lanning's probably going to be the hire?
It's probably going to be a nobody the way that my luck's
I
been the
don't.
last 2 weeks. I don't even want to guess, but I don't think JMU. I mean, I don't think Texas A&M is
They're not
going
going to go small.
after. They're not going to go to a small school to get a coach. They want somebody that's going to come in and win. To me, with Elko struggling a little bit more at Duke, if I was Texas A&M, I think I'm leaving it. Texas A&M, I'm leaning more towards Dan Lanning.
Yeah. So your top two would be Lanning and Elko. I mean, Kirk Nettie is 62, and that's not a bad pick, but I think he stays on the East Coast if he goes anywhere. That's JMU's coach, by the way.
I don't know.
No, this is why I
I,
asked it
I,
because I don't know. We never thought that Lincoln Riley would leave Oklahoma and go to USC. Did we? No, I mean I didn't. Maybe you did. I had zero idea.
yeah, I don't know. I just don't see Texas A&M taking a chance on a coach that, no disrespect to their program, but they're not. playing the caliber of teams that Texas A&M is going to be playing week in,
I
week
agree.
out. I think they want somebody who's got some experience in big games that's still young that can be there for 15 to 20 years.
Let me throw out a few names here for you because I thought this as well. I had Elko, I had Lanning, but I also had Dabo, I had Jim Harbaugh, and I also had Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury is not doing anything right now. I think he's a possibility, right? Offensive genius. So Cliff Kingsbury is not doing anything right now, right? Offensive genius. He was put up a lot of points at A&M when he or not at Texas Tech when he was there. And then another one who my real pick who I think it's going to be is going to be Lane Kiffin. I think Texas A&M brings that recruiting factor, that oil money. He scores enough for him. I think it's going to be Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even think about Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury and Kiffin would be my two choices. Now, if I had my opportunity to get my hands on Lanning, I
I
would
mean, yeah,
1000% do that.
that makes sense because
Remember, I
they
hired him
leave
at
Ole Miss
Auburn.
the
I hired him at Auburn, but Auburn might not have been big enough.
yeah. I mean, really and truly, out of those three, if I had to pick out of everybody that we talked about, I think I'm with you on that. Kiffin one, Lanning two, and I think Kingsbury. Yeah, I think it's going to go between Lanning and Kiffin, honestly.
Yeah, I realistically I think so as well. And watch it be somebody just out of nowhere. But another coach who got fired was Zach Arnett. He was hired with unfortunate circumstances, but his offense should not have been as bad as they were. They completely changed it. The defense has not looked good at Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's a top 30 program to be a coach at. You're in the SEC. You have lesser expectations, but you're in the SEC. You're playing good ball. They have good programs. Like they've had good programs in the past. Did you think Zach Arnett deserved it? I mean, same type of question. It was kind of unfair, but was he really ready for that head coaching position?
I don't think he was ready for it. I mean, I understand Mississippi State's
Yeah,
way of direction, the way that they went, man, but the offenses looked terrible. You would have thought that he would have kind of kept some of that Mike Leach. I don't know,
yeah,
magic, I guess you could say. But I mean, it's, to me, that goes back to like the Tony Elliott situation with UVA. I mean, you're in a rough spot. You know what I mean?
right.
So I don't, I guess I could see it. I mean, I don't know. I just, I didn't think he would get fired after year one. But
Yeah,
like I said, this is a different world of college football.
I knew it was going to be tougher because of how if he was closer to the 50-50 mark, I think they would have given him a shot. But this is where, and I'm going to ask you the same type of thing. I got three names for coaches from Mississippi State that I think would be
Yeah.
great hires, and one of them I think can go to Texas A&M as well. I got four names, actually. Um, I
All
got
right.
Lance Leipold, which I think he could go to
Yep.
Texas A&M. I think that's a big enough name to go to either school. The only problem with him
I
is
don't
he's
know.
older.
Yeah, I don't. Nah, I could see him going to Mississippi State. I do
Right.
agree with that.
I like Leipold. I like Summerall from Troy, who would be amazing. Actually, I'm adding another name to it. The
I
coach
was
from
thinking more of
Tulane.
Tulane's coach and
Yep,
JMU's coach.
coach from Tulane, and then I had Kirk Signetti from JMU, and then I also had Jeb Fish from Arizona. Because I
Yeah.
think I think those are enough names that some of them are older, some of them are younger, but I think they
Well,
carry enough to get it done.
I've got one more that you really need to consider because he's had some time to sit back, and I think that's going to be more of his school, kind of like a Hugh Freeze,
Yeah.
and I think it's Dan Mullen. I think
Well,
he
yeah,
has a
so come
shot too.
back. come back to Mississippi
Yeah,
State.
yeah,
That's not a
yeah.
bad pull. That's not a bad idea. They'd be happy with it. Yeah, I like that. I like Dan Mullen there. Do you have anybody else that you would potentially see there?
I saw some reports. Damn, I can't think of dude. I can't remember now off the top of my head. There was one more that. Oh, Chadwell, Jamie Chadwell.
Where's he at?
Ah, you had to ask.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I literally had it
Chad
right on the
Chadwell?
tongue. Yeah,
Cardwell, Jimmy Cardwell. Okay.
Cardwell,
Chadwell.
Jamie Card.
Anyways, I don't know why that name sounds familiar, but maybe not.
Yeah, I might have to look now. I'm kind of curious. So,
Jim Caldwell. Are you talking about Jim Caldwell, like the former NFL coach?
uh, hold on, give me a second, 'cause this one bother me now. Should have wrote it
No
down.
worries. Well, you're looking at that. I mean, I think these are two good jobs, and like
Hey,
I
well,
said,
I mean, you know who? Well, you know who else you probably could actually throw in to the mix of that too could be Georgia's defensive coordinator.
yeah. I mean, if you're looking at coordinators, Manny
Oh,
Diaz, I
here
think
it
is
is.
up there. I think Manny Diaz is up there. Georgia's defensive coordinators up there. Um, I mean, there's plenty of people that you can kind of think of. Um, Georgia's defensive coordinator is not bad. Manny Diaz, I could see
Hey, what about? I figured it out. It was Jamie Chadwell out of Liberty.
Liberty. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that too. But that's 1 year of coaching though. Do you think like that he'll make that switch? The other name I thought for A&M and would be a long shot would be Dion. Why not throw the
Ain't
bucket of
no
money at
way.
him?
I'm not saying it wouldn't be cool, but I don't see he's
Yeah,
not going to leave his
I think he's
boys
next year.
in Colorado.
I think he jumps Colorado next year,
I think I think when his sons graduate and move on, he's jumping.
which is next year because they can't transfer again. So
Yeah.
I think Billy Napier gets fired and I think he goes to Florida, man. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. But I think both jobs are pretty good jobs to have. Who's going to be the next one? I've heard some rumors about Sam Pittman maybe being fired this weekend, Chip Kelly being fired this weekend. Um, I think there's a good. I saw a good report that Chip Kelly is going to get fired after the USC game this weekend. Um, I think this is where we start seeing some dominoes fall. So, who do you think the next coach is going to be that's fired? I mean, I know we talked about it last week, but like we're in the season, man.
I hate to say it, but I was going to say Pittman more than anybody. I mean,
Yeah, that's one name we forgot last week.
I don't know, man. I could also see Dino Babers getting let go too
You've been on that case
to
for a
open
while.
up.
I don't know if they do though, because 5-6 wins is good for Syracuse.
Yeah, I know, man. But when you use what the last 3 to 4 years winning 7, 8 plus games.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's just I'm going with Chip Kelly just because I saw that report, but I wouldn't be surprised if him and Sam Pittman go both. And then that's two other good jobs, especially UCLA with that DJ Moore or not DJ Moore, whatever his name is, the Moore kid from the quarterback who's a freshman. So something to think about. Next topic we have Ewers has been reported that he's coming back to Texas next season. Does this mean Arch Manning is going to leave? And if so, where do you think he's going to go?
Yeah, I think he leaves. I think he goes to Bama.
That was my thought too.
Does Bama have?
I
I
don't
think he
know if
goes to Bama.
Milroe's coming back next year, but if you have a chance to do that, the only other place that I think he would go is Ole Miss, and that's because his dad and Eli both went there.
Yeah, because
But
they'll be
then
losing
Walker
guard.
Howard screwed out of
Guard
the
receiver.
starting job.
I don't. I don't think he stays in Texas though. Not with that backup quarterback that Texas has playing the way that he did while yours is out.
Well, Murphy's gone. He's going to transfer for sure.
Oh, he
So
is.
yeah, I think he's gone too. Um, the only reason why he might stay is because of his family. And the development he chose Texas because of quarterback development from Stark, from what I understand. So I don't know, man. I would transfer because I think he needs 2 years to play, so he can get into the first round. I I mean that's what I would think. Um,
Maybe
but
he'll
I
transfer
guess
to NC State.
you wish. You'll have a young core then. You just need a running back and offensive line.
Yeah.
Harbaugh suspension. He was suspended 3 games by the Big Ten, or the rest of the season by the Big Ten. Do you think this was the right move since it wasn't by the NCAA? And they suspended him while his flight was in the air to Happy Valley. Do you think that was the right move as well?
No, I don't think so. Dude, just let it go. I mean, I'm just it's kind of like the Travis Kelsey Taylor Swift shit, man. I'm just tired of hearing about it. Just let it
Yeah.
go. I mean, they still won the game. They didn't even have it.
Yeah, it was fun to talk about it for a while because of how crazy some of the stuff got out. But I agree. If you're not gonna do anything to the actual university, because I think it's more on the university than Harbaugh. I think I've changed my stance on it a little bit. If you're not gonna do anything to the actual university, I don't know, man. I'm with you. I'm
Do
tired
you
of
think
talking
they
about
would?
it.
Do you think they would have done that there? Urban Meyer when he was at Ohio State? This crap was going on.
Well,
Hell no.
they did it to Jim Tressel at Ohio State with the tattoos.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We won't talk about it unless something else crazy pops up anymore or something more sensational.
I would rather watch. I'd rather watch. I would rather watch a traffic report in the morning than listen to another case of that crap.
All right. Anyways, with that note, we'll go ahead and get into the game of the week, man. Game of the week. I'm not going to say Penn State, Michigan. I thought the game was boring. Um, it was a lot of running the football. Penn State isn't where I thought they were. Drew Aller maybe needs another year, I guess. Um, the game that I thought was the best was Texas Tech at Kansas. Kansas was down to their third string quarterback, but Texas Tech was dominating, and then Kansas came back, won on a last minute field goal. So I'm going Texas Tech, Kansas. But I didn't really have many games of the week. There was a lot of blowouts.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick that one. I actually had. I kind of went with Tulane and Tulsa. I think that was a 24-22
Yeah,
game. Tulsa, I mean, Tulane, they steadily just find ways to win games. And that was actually pretty exciting from what I watched a little bit of it.
yeah, yeah. That one wasn't a bad one. I just think there was a lot of blowouts, like Alabama and Georgia, and I'll get to them with my winners of the week. But they both look unstoppable right now. Um, we'll go
Yeah.
next to the player of the week, man. Who you have for your player of the week last week?
Player of the week, I went with Cody Schrader out of Mizzou, the running back. He had 35 carries, 205 yards, and a touchdown
Mm-hmm.
against a pretty damn good Tennessee defensive front.
Guess who's leading the SEC in rushing?
I couldn't even tell you him.
Your boy. Yeah, he's crushing it, and that's a name that nobody knows.
Yeah. So that's who I picked, and of course, I went with NC State's defense. Man, played a good game once again in a very hard place to win for us in
Yeah.
the past. Uh, Coach Gibson's got those guys playing good, man. I'm not gonna worry if they keep it up.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they need to because I still don't trust Brendan Armstrong. So, my player of the week, I have
No,
three
but fun
tied.
fact: it's never won in Lane Stadium.
Yeah, I have three tied. I have Jalen Milroe because he 6 touchdowns. I mean, 3 rushing, 3 passing. Daniels had 350 yards passing, 250 yards rushing. Like, holy crap, for LSU. And then Carson Beck looked like a good quarterback last week. Like a good
Yeah,
quarterback.
dude. Had you? Let me ask you something. Have you like? Did you watch last week's game? Any?
Yeah, I watched all of it. I was amazed. I
All right.
bet the over, and I should have
Yeah,
bet Georgia by 20.
I couldn't watch all of it. I fell asleep. But I can tell you what, dude. You give him time. I mean, he zips. I mean, it's like a BB coming out of a gun.
Yeah,
I mean, he
he
slings it.
he throws a pretty ball, man. And he's not
Yeah, he
getting any
does. I mean, it's
recognition.
tight. No, I mean, he's just. I hope it stays like that because the more underneath the radar he is, I think the better he is. The
Yeah.
team is.
Well, I think
And
Georgia
Georgia
and
was
Alabama are
Georgia
back.
was out. Well, Georgia was without their top linebacker last week.
Yeah, and they made a mockery of Old Miss, man. Like it's scary how good Bama and Georgia are, and we're probably not going to see both of them in the playoff.
Yeah, I know. But this also goes back to: are you taking a one-loss Georgia, or if they when they play each other in SEC championship, what do you do if you're the
Right, that's
committee?
what I'm saying. Like that's the question, right? We're about to get into a scenario that could happen where we have a one-loss Texas that wins the Big 12, a one-loss Alabama who wins the SEC, a one-loss Georgia that's lost one game in 3 years, a one-loss Washington, a one-loss Oregon, a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan. Like we're about to come into like some crazy, crazy things.
Yeah,
And this could be the first year that like we could like really miss out on some good teams. I mean, that's it's so
yeah,
crazy,
I
man. Like
don't know.
it's so wild
And the
right now.
bad thing is the way that the year is gone. I can see it happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And my thing is if Alabama wins and you have one loss Alabama, one loss Texas, one loss Georgia, one loss Oregon, one loss Washington, I think Oregon makes it because they win the Pac-12, Alabama makes it because they win the SEC, and I think you have to put Georgia in.
You have to.
And then that would be the undefeated Big Ten. And then what happens if SFU
Yeah, but
or
what about Florida?
FSU's undefeated
What
too? I don't
what if
know.
Florida State wins out?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Would you go off strength of schedule?
I think you have to, man, because Florida State hasn't really played anybody, but they beat the brakes off of LSU at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I do. I don't know.
You're not going to
I
have
think the
the
only thing
SEC
that would
is
hurt,
going to be
the only
represented.
thing, oh yeah, no, without a doubt. But I think the only thing that would hurt FSU if they do win out is they're going to look back at the LSU game and look at LSU's record
Right.
now. You know what I mean?
Yep. I don't know, man. Some fun things on the horizon. We got like 3-4 weeks left. So winners of the week, I've already talked about it. Alabama and Georgia, they just look too scary. And then just Texas A&M in general. I think they needed to get rid of Jimbo. That's who I have this week.
Yeah, I had three. I went with Texas A&M for getting rid of Jimbo. I had Georgia and I had Mizzou.
Yeah. I thought Tennessee was going to handle business the way they've been playing. And that's another name we didn't throw out there is Drinkowitz to A&M.
Uh, Nah, I think he needs to stay where he's at because they've been patient with him. So
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Losers of the week, I'll run through them pretty quick. SEC in general, just because Georgia and Bama are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. Florida, because they lost a 4-star cornerback to Texas this week. Billy Napier better get on his game or it's going to get worse. And then Penn State, they they should be in the second tier of college teams, but they're in the third tier, and it's clear that they're in the third tier because they can't beat the Ohio States and Michigans. It's just a shame.
Yeah, I went with Penn State, Tennessee. Um, Believe it or not, I actually went with Colorado and Oklahoma State. And my
Yeah,
last
where did
one,
that one come from? Oklahoma State. Holy
yeah,
smokes.
I don't know. Colorado, I don't know if the guys have just quit. I don't know. It sucks because I really wanted to see Dion make a bowl.
Yeah.
He's got two tough games coming up, but I don't know if the guys have just given up or I don't know what's going on. And the last one, I got to go with UNC. How are you going to storm the field
Yeah.
when you're ranked against an unranked Duke team
They had their
and
third string quarterback in.
a two overtime loss for Duke, and you storm the field because it's a rivalry game? Come
Yeah.
on now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching some of that game too, and I didn't think it was going to be high scoring the way it was going, and then they just blew up in the second half, both teams.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and get into the game picks. To kind of recap, I'm still 5 games up. I'm at 79 and 36. You're at 74 and 41. My locks are 66 and 54. Kind of a rough week last week for both of us. And kind of all around. I thought more upsets would happen than they did, and I called for a lot of them. So we'll see. We'll see about this week. This week we got a lot more tough games, I think, or a lot closer games. We'll start off Utah at Arizona. Arizona's been the surprise of the season for me, and they've been doing it quietly. They should have beat Mississippi State. They lost on a BS fourth down call for placement of the ball in overtime. Arizona's favored by 1 right now. I'm going with Arizona. I'm high on them. I think Utah's lost its magic away. I just don't think that I don't think their offense is there. Their defense for sure is best defense in the Pac-12, but I have a feeling Arizona's going to win this one.
Yeah, I went with Arizona as well. It was kind of a flip flop. I just think all around Arizona's playing better ball than Utah right now. I mean, Utah does have a pretty good defense, but I don't know. Something about Arizona, it's kind of hard to go against them right now.
Yeah. Next game we have is Louisville at Miami. Miami's only a half a point favorite, so it's a pick 'em. Miami looked really good actually last week against Florida State. They missed a BS safety call that should have been a safety against Jordan Travis. Only lost by 7. I called that Miami plus 14. I think Miami actually wins this one. I think they have a resurgence here. I think they fight for their coach, so I think Miami's going to beat Louisville. Every time I pick Louisville, though,
Yeah,
they beat the brakes off of the team I pick against. So
I went with Miami only because Louisville's been struggling, but they're still winning.
yeah,
They haven't really been dominant enough for me to like go with them. But the way that Miami played last week,
yeah,
um, the only thing is Van Dyke is now back to starter after Miami's that true freshman from Miami went down. So hopefully he can turn it around. I don't know what's going on with Van Dyke,
yeah. I
but
was about to ask you what's
uh,
going on with Van Dyke because 2 years ago he was cream of the crop. Last year he took a step back. This year he's non-existent.
yeah, I don't know, man. I know he got benched and that true freshman came in. I'm pretty sure he broke his arm. I did see that play. That was pretty disgusting. But
Yeah,
I went with Miami. I think Van Dyke comes back and takes a seat and he looks back at him being benched and I think he turns it around. To me, I just Louisville's getting by the skin of their teeth, and I think Miami at home after they played FSU really good at FSU. I'm going Miami.
yeah. Next game we have is SMU at Memphis. SMU is favored by 8.5. They're looking really good on offense. Defense is starting to come together, but Memphis hasn't lost at home in a couple years, I don't think. Memphis is 8-2, SMU is 8-2. This game was tough for me, man. I think it'll be fun. I think it's going to be a shootout. I have SMU. SMU is favored by 8.5. I have SMU, but I don't have them big.
Yeah, I had SMU as well. I was getting ready to pick Memphis, but SMU to me, looking at stats, I haven't really watched them play. Looking at stats, I think they're more the well-rounded team um, as far as who they played. So I'm gonna go with SMU.
Oh, this just in. Breaking news alert. NCAA denies JMU's bowl waiver. They still have to be ineligible for bowl consideration due to the FCS to FBS rules. I think that's BS, man. If they're having a winning program, they should be able to be in a bowl.
You know what the NCAA stands for, right?
What's that?
No clue at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's just the Tez Walker. I know you don't like
You can thank,
UNC. That
and
Tez Walker situation
you
has
can
been
thank
crap.
Dave Dorn for that.
Yeah, that Tez Walker situation was crap. I know you don't like UNC, but you got to admit, let the kid play. And then this JMU situation's been crap too. Speaking of JMU, that's our next game. College game day will be there. App State at JMU. JMU is just bowling over people. JMU's favored by 9. I think they win, and I think they roll over App State. App State always gives people trouble, though.
Yeah, after this news just came out, I think JMU puts on a clinic. I think you're
Oh,
going to
for
see
sure.
a team that's really going to pound some ass.
That was kind of crazy that it came in just when we were about to do the game at JMU by 20, maybe. Um, Next game we have Georgia at Tennessee. Neyland is tough to play. Tennessee has not lost to Neyland in 16 games, I believe it is 14 or 16 games. Georgia is favored by 10. Do you think magic happens again like it did last year versus Bama?
Nope. Man, Carson
Not,
Beck's playing too damn good.
yeah,
I,
not the way Georgia
I'm
played last week.
going. I'm going. Yeah, I'm going UGA.
Yeah. Next game, UNC at Clemson. Clemson's favored by 6.5. Clemson started off rocky. Georgia Tech went down the field on them, and then Clemson just shut the gates. Man, Clemson looks like they're back at least. I know they got 4 losses, but looks like they're doing well. I have Clemson here as well. This is big precedence for the ACC title race here.
You already know who I picked.
Yeah, I figured I put that on there because there's not many others, but I mean, we needed to do it. So Kansas State at Kansas. Kansas State is favored by 7.5 right now. I'm not sure what quarterback they're on. I know Bean got hurt. I'm not sure if Daniels is ready to come back. I'm not sure if Bean is ready to come back. Leipold just can't keep a quarterback healthy, man, because I feel like Kansas is better than what they should be. But I'm going Kansas State here. Picking a lot of away teams is what I'm realizing now. But Kansas State.
Yeah, give me the Wildcats. I like it being at home for Kansas, but the quarterback troubles really don't have me convinced. But then again, it is Kansas, and they always find a way to win at home. But
Yeah.
I think Kansas State's gonna be too much.
I haven't seen anything on who's starting, but I think I'd be more confident if they let out the Bean or Daniels was playing. But I'm with you. I don't know. We're gonna skip this next game. We'll go to Texas at Iowa State. Iowa State put up 45 points. I know it was BYU, but they put up 45 points last week. Iowa State looks like they can pass the ball, like they're throwing all over the place. And Texas has been kind of weak against the pass the last couple of weeks. I think Ewers is back. Texas is favored by 7.5. I think this game is close. I think Texas wins, but I think Iowa State covers. I think it's a field goal game. John O'Brooks out for the year. Jonathan Brooks
Yeah,
out
I
for the
guess
year,
so.
running back from Texas, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still going with Texas. So when yours is back, just announced that he's staying. So I think he's going to ball out.
Yeah. Next game, UNLV at Air Force. this is big precedent for the Mountain West, which is turning into a really fun conference. Air Force was dominant for 8 straight games, and then they've lost the last 2. Air Force is favored by 3. Who do you got?
I got UNLV.
UNLV, their program was crap 3 years ago. Now they're fun to watch, man. I'm going Air Force. I think they have to make this resurgence here. I think they're trying to get to 10 wins, so we're gonna differ there. But that might be sneaky game of the week next week, or for next week, to be honest. And then last game we have on the schedule is Washington at Oregon State. Oregon State is favored by 2.5. I'll let you go first because I got some stats that you're not gonna like.
I really don't care because I know you're going with DJ Uiagalelei because that's your boy, and you like Oregon State. I
Yep.
got Washington. I think Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix has another big game, and he finally assures that final spot for the Heisman, especially after who did Washington have last week? USC.
No. They had USC 2 weeks ago. Was it Utah? No. Yeah, they had Utah last week, 28-35.
Hmm. I don't know. I think Washington's.
Washington's defensive troubles really scare me. Oregon State's lost 2 games, and their combined total loss, I think, is like 6 points. So they've lost 2 field goals of games. DJ and the Oregon State offense is actually ranked 16th in the nation. I think their defense is top 20 as well. Corvallis is a hard place to play, and I think Oregon State wants to stick it to Washington for leaving the Pac-12. I have Oregon State here, like you said. And then no counting for this game. Virginia Tech or NC State at Virginia Tech. Who you got here doesn't count against our records. Or what is your opinion on the game?
I really don't know.
which NC State and
I'm
which
hoping
Tech is going to
defense
show
steps
up?
up. Yeah, I got to go with my boys in this one, man. But we all know Lane's a hard place to play. It's supposed to be sold out.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's sold out.
I
The
just
only
to
thing that's
me the
helping you
offense.
guys,
I
it's
just
a
don't.
3:30 game, not a night game. If it was a night game, I'd say it's a wrap.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Tech wins. I just don't think the offense. Tech's got a pretty solid defense. I just don't know. With the offense, man.
So
You
Tech's
played a really
favored.
good Wake Forest.
Tech's favored by 3. Matchup predictor on ESPN has NC State a 51.8% chance of winning. It's supposed to be 65 and sunny, so it's not like your typical lane situation. It just all depends on which. If Brennan Armstrong doesn't turn
You
the
know
ball,
what? Give
NC
me
State will
give me
win.
NC State. Give me NC State and the boys. Underdogs. I like it.
Yeah, I I think it'll be a fun game to watch for that for sure. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so my locks of the week. I have one for tonight. I have Miami of Ohio -7.5, but like that's going to be over by the time this comes out. So we'll go the Raging Cajuns at Troy. Troy -15.5. That's where I'm going. I think Troy wins this by a lot more than 15.5. App State at JMU. Like I said, JMU's favored by 9. I think JMU wins by more than 9, especially after the news that we just got. UF at Missouri. Going with the over here, 58.5. I think both offenses can score. Rutgers at Penn State, over 41.5 as well. I think Penn State comes out firing. SMU at Memphis, over 66.5. I said earlier, I think it's going to be a shootout. And that just seems really low for a shootout. Louisiana Tech at Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State is underdogs by 8 points. Give me Jacksonville State and Rich Rod and the boys +8. That's a name that we could look into the coaches for the openings as well. Might be fun. Texas at Iowa State. Like I said, I think Texas wins, but Iowa covers, so Iowa plus 7.5. UTEP at Mid Tennessee State. Mid Tennessee State's favored by 7.5. I think they win by more than that. Illinois at Iowa. Iowa's favored by 3. I think they win by more than 3. So give me Iowa -3. And then UNC Clemson. Clemson's favored by 6.5. I think they win by more than 6.5 with that defense. Okay, upset of the week. I've already mentioned it, and I mentioned it a couple times. Iowa State, 7.5-point dogs against Texas. Texas has not looked good the last couple weeks. I think they're on upset alert this week. Who you got?
It's got to be more than 10, right?
More than a touchdown, more than 7.
I don't know. I didn't even pick one, to be honest.
No worries.
There's some names. There's some teams out there. Let me pick one.
No worries at all. All right, and then player of the week. Who you got for your player of the week this week?
I'm going Carson Beck, man. I
Yep.
think he goes in there and he tortures Nealon.
Yeah, I think that's a safe pick there. Um this one was kind of tough for me because I want to say I just want to keep putting Jalen Daniels on here, but I'm gonna have to go with Carson Beck as
Oh,
well,
you're going
man.
with. Oh, you sure you don't want to go with Brennan Armstrong? It's his first win in Lane Stadium. The resurgence. Armstrong 2.0. You know you want to take him.
No, no, no. I'm gonna stick with my picks there as well. I'm gonna go with Carson Beck with you too. I was checking on something, but it didn't come out. So, anyways, that's our episode for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing. Keep sending in your questions, man, and we'll keep going from here. We'll see you guys next week.